This is the show that has a proven track record.
You have to connect with the fans. If you can't connect with the fans, you're never going to really have anybody on your side.
This is a show that has a real approach to sports.
They've been terrible, but now they've gotten some young players, and they're still bad right now, yeah. But they're getting better.
This is a show that's not going to give you the sweet stuff.
They're decimated with injuries. No one on that staff seems to be able to pitch right now.
This is the award-winning show that's giving you the truth, just like they always have.
What are we talking about?
Where are we at in society today?
Listen and learn.
This is Delay of Game, the Sports Talk podcast.
Oh, welcome into the show. Glad to have you with us. Glad to be back. Got a week off, and a lot of things happened in 2 weeks' time, and I mean, we can't cover it all because kind of at this point it's outdated and old, but anyways. Welcome to the show. Ryan Swanigan, Brent Bonfleur, Matt Rigby. I said Brent Bonfleur.
Hey.
Thank you. I'm accustomed to that now. I don't know why. Ever since you started doing that, I'm just used to it. Very interesting. Lots to get to today, as I said. We're going to have 3 podcasts getting cranked out today, and they're all going to be great. We're going to have a Super Bowl recap. Matt Rigby is going to be giving us some very insightful things because I've never been to the Super Bowl. I don't know what it's like there versus what I've seen on TV the last how many years I've been watching the Super Bowl, which is probably 20 or so. And so that's going to be some good stuff there. That's separate from this podcast, which we're going to get rolling here in a second. Doug Lowry is also going to be on another edition of Guest Work. That's also coming later today. Should check that one out because, believe it or not, I'm going after a very close friend and colleague of mine. His name is Michael Dixon, and I can't believe I am. But, yeah, so it's about Nebraska men's basketball, and a very interesting article that Michael wrote over the weekend. And Doug and I are going to take a look at that and dissect that, and that's going to be fun. But that's in a separate podcast. We need to get this one going, and we only get it going with one fiery thing to start things off.
It's now time for a little R&R.
Ryan's Rant, that is. Back to the explosion of a topic that Ryan has in store for today's podcast.
Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Take it out!
There's something that's just really bothering the guy, and now you're about to find out what it is.
You gotta be kidding me! Nobody's tackling anybody! Do it live!
There's some absurd things going on in the world of sports, and Ryan's pretty fired up about them.
Hello? You kidding me?
They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
That's not true!
And now, here's the original Delay of Game produced, Ryan's Rant.
So 2 weeks ago, I said that in the Baylor situation of the University of Baylor, or Baylor University, I can't remember. We had that conversation. We discussed how, you have to punish the players that are responsible for that situation, but since Baylor basically shoved it under the rug and didn't address it, those people also have to be punished as well. Well, today, and this is still an ongoing situation with Louisville and basically the self-imposed postseason ban that they are dealing with right now. That is a situation. There's 2 types of these situations. We addressed the first type last week. That was a situation where you have to punish the players and those responsible in not just the athletic department, but also in, I guess, in the administration of Baylor itself. That is also, they are responsible there. in this situation with Louisville men's basketball, this really isn't a situation where you punish the players because the players are not exactly responsible in this case. The people responsible are part of the Louisville, they were a part of the Louisville coaching staff, or they are a part of the athletic department in some in some way, shape, or form. Now, there are people who are saying, well, it was the players at the time, they were the one who were going along with this stuff. Yeah, wouldn't you at 17, 18, 16 years old? Wouldn't you? Let's be real here. When you're young and immature like that, you're basically going to be following what's the popular thing going on and what makes you happy. But the fact that this whole, I guess, operation was going on at Louisville, and again, there's so many flaws with this thing and so many ridiculous situations that come out of this Louisville scandal. But that's all on the people involved. And my point here is with this, I'm going to try and keep this short because I went too far last time with Baylor, but that was a little bit different. You're punishing players who just transferred in for this season to make the NCAA tournament because they couldn't with the schools they were previously at. And now you're going to say, no, time to go. We're closing. Yep. Doors are closing. We're going to say goodbye to the postseason. And, enjoy this season while you can, folks. About 5 games left, I would be floored. And Rick Pitino had every right to be floored with the administration of Louisville. And again, it's like that person who does all the work in the group project, but they're with about 3 or 4 other people in that group project, using a stereotypical cliche here. And about 2 or 3 of those people, of the 5 in that group project, are not really carrying their weight. One of them isn't doing anything at all. And yet, the group project ends up turning into something, it turns into garbage. And you get a C- for the grade. When 2 of those 5 people were working their butts off to try and get the grade, and yet the whole group gets punished in total, and it's like, wait, no. That's not how it should be. Those 2 people worked their butts off to try and make sure that they could, as you look back on it, salvage the situation. Why are they getting punished? Their grade should be an A when the other people should be an F. And that's what I'm thinking should be the scenario here at Louisville. Don't punish the players. The players have nothing to do with this. The current roster essentially has they weren't even probably getting visits to Louisville at the time. And you want to punish them by not sending them to the NCAA tournament? Because that's where Louisville's going to go. Guarantee you that. Well, that's where they would go if they weren't, banned by their own university. It's like, again, we just have this thing about our society where we just, we want to wash our hands of the situation and just throw something at the problem and call it good. Like, no. You have to get your hands dirty. You have to get into the not the basic facts, into the exact facts of what's going on and punish the people who are responsible. Pick through, find out who they were, and come up with a punishment for them. Don't just throw it at the players, the whole basketball team, when it's only a certain portion of the basketball team's fault. Do it that way. And we've seen this problem at so many other institutions too. Look at Penn State. The Penn State thing, man, that's the biggest, that is the standard of the problems that face college programs. That was a scenario, nope, just going to completely shut down the whole thing. Why? The players didn't rape anybody. There was nothing going on with the players. They have absolutely no involvement in that scenario with Jerry Sandusky whatsoever. No involvement. And you want to punish them for something that they probably didn't even... They were in diapers at that time. And you're telling me you want to punish them and the rest of their careers playing football at Penn State? That's the biggest standard and the biggest example of a mistake by a university in axing something that should really be specific punishments, not just a general thing. And that even came from the NCAA. And we all know how the NCAA, they have their own issues and they've got their own problems and yada, yada, yada. Why punish the players? Why? They weren't involved with the Jerry Sandusky thing. That's grown men, 40 or older, who were involved. Find them. Fire them. Do something. I can't get over the fact that the players had nothing to do with it. But it doesn't matter, I guess, in the eyes of the NCAA. Or, for example, at Missouri, where they now also have a postseason ban because of a coach who's not even at university anymore. So, therefore, their current basketball team, which wasn't involved in any possible way 2 or 3 years ago, if not more, I think this is 2012-2013 season for Missouri men's basketball. So now the 2015-2016 team is taking the punishment for a different head coach, a different group of players, and probably half a different administration that was going on almost 5 years ago. But no, we have to take a stand. We have to do the right thing. We're going to punish the whole deal and boom, gone, done. Why? That's not how you solve it. It's like trying to, you get this giant big dead tree in your backyard. It's like, oh, nope. We're just going to cut the whole thing down and the tree is not even dead. It's just a portion of the tree. Take care of the parts that are dead on the tree, and the tree ends up getting life back and growing, and it stays alive. Same thing can be applied to Missouri, to Penn State, to Louisville, to UConn, wherever. Syracuse, Miami. Don't punish players. If it's an issue of solving money, bite the bullet. Because I keep hearing from all these institutions, we do this for our student athletes. It's about what's in their best interests. Then why are you punishing them for something they haven't done? This is the opposite side of the Baylor card, or the Missouri card, or what the multiple, sexual assault allegations that we have mentioned on this show, not just this year, last year, the year before that. There's two different sides of this. In the Baylor instance, that is on the administration and it is on those players involved. In this instance with the Louisville situation or Penn State, that is an administration issue. That is a coach's issue, recruiting issue. That has nothing to do with the players. So therefore, common sense, if there's any left, tells you to punish the people responsible for allowing that to happen. That is how things get solved. Not just throwing one giant thing at the problem and calling it good. That does nothing. That does absolutely nothing. Especially for those players. And it's a big shame that Louisville cannot make the tournament again this year because they are fighting one of the most difficult schedules in the ACC this year right now. And somehow they are just getting through. I mean, just getting through. They're doing a better job than Duke right now. That's high praise if you're Louisville. But this is, again, a scenario of, I guess, laziness, if you want to call it laziness going on. Because I just feel that that's, we keep turning more and more towards the laziness factor in this country. And whether it happens in politics or in sports, when they mix, this is what you get. And it's a shame for Louisville. Very, very, very sad situation for Louisville. Good show in store for today. As I mentioned, got random facts today instead of props too. And I don't know if Brent Bonfleur is going to be packing a punch or not later on in the show, but
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
Involves a big name.
Oh, a big name.
Yeah.
Nice.
Probably the biggest name in sports right now.
Oh, yeah. All right. That looks fun. It's a lot of fun in this show. Matt Rigby, any thoughts? Yeah. Yes, you in the front.
You want rant thoughts?
Rant thoughts, if you got them. I mean, it can't be me all the time. Let's be honest. That gets boring.
Well, I think I'm gonna talk about something that popped into my head that it's not your fault that you didn't hit on because it wouldn't be thought of mostly, but it just kind of popped into my head. Remember when there was discussion about the Cardinals receiving a postseason ban I'm talking baseball now, for what they did with the Astros database?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I thought that whole postseason ban discussion was interesting because you could never implement it because at that point you're creating an uneven skew from a competitive balance standpoint. So like every team in the NL Central, if that ban were to take place, that gets to play the Cardinals 19 times or 18. What is it? I think interdivision is 18. As opposed to
sounds right.
As opposed to teams that are the other NL teams that play the Cardinals 6 times. I mean, you can never convince me that the Cardinals would not mail it in, basically, at that point. If they know that they can't make the playoffs going into a season, they mail it in. And then that creates an advantage for those teams that get to play them 18 times as opposed to the teams that get to play them 6 times. So my problem with this Louisville thing, it's really interesting to me to see a ban imposed in the middle of a season because I will never be convinced that Louisville's not mailing it in at least to some point now. Like, if you're a player on that team, you're like, what are we playing for anymore?
Yeah.
I come to Louisville to go to the NCAA tournament. I don't come here just to win games on Saturdays and call it good.
Yeah.
So they're not playing really for as much anymore, and that totally affects the balance of the ACC schedule.
Yes.
I mean, like, teams that play them now have it way easier than teams that played them the first half of the ACC schedule. So I'm totally confused as to how you can just all of a sudden implement a postseason ban in the middle of a season. I know that wasn't really the direction you were going with your rant.
No, that's a good.
I think it's an interesting element to it. Is just from a competitive standpoint, like as fans, how are we supposed to take any competitive nature of anything Louisville does the rest of the season seriously? And it's unfair to them, but like. You mentioned it was unfair to them, but like I mean, it's human nature at this point that they're not going to try as hard, and then everything is inversely affected from that.
Yeah.
From a competitive standpoint.
Yeah.
But that again, that's a little ancillary to what you were talking about.
I still think that's a very good point too, because again, Louisville, like I said, they have a very difficult ACC schedule, and I know they've got Duke coming up. I think they've got North Carolina again, maybe. They play Syracuse. Syracuse is fighting to try and make its way back into March Madness talk. So, that's a very good aspect. Good element thrown in by Matt Rigby.
This is Delay of Game,
a sports talk podcast. Available on YouTube and online at thedelayofgamepodcast.wordpress.com.
Delay of Game is going to the monitor and having a look at something controversial or crucial from the week in sports. It's under review.
All right, so that certainly could have counted as our under review topic, but we're not leaving Brent Bonfleur out on purpose. I'm sure he might have some thoughts on Jennry Mejia of the New York Mets.
Oh,
but, yeah. See,
so many.
This is a baseball
so
topic.
Many
so
I mean, we
Brent
just wouldn't have time, so I just better better sit this one out.
Yeah, sure. Since Jennry Mejia, I just mentioned part of the New York Mets organization, we have first-hand account, insight, whatever you want to call it, first-hand opinions from the ever-so-popular Mets fan himself. And we go live now to Matt Rigby with the latest.
Yeah, I mean, what's the right term? What's the correct term to use in this? I mean, what an idiot! I mean, I don't know what else to say.
You know what? Hold on, we're gonna throw something else into this.
And now to a story about someone in the sports world who was just being too selfish or immature. It's time for...
It's your world, and we're just living in it.
This is even better. It just popped into my head. This is the perfect person for It's Your World and we're just living it. This is great. All right, take it away, Matt.
Well, I mean, I need to caveat first. I mean, the first thing I said, and I said this because, like, I don't know how much I care about Jennry Mejia as a fan anymore. Like, the Mets don't need him. And so once I distanced myself from that and really realized I wasn't too upset about it, I thought about how could a person possibly do that to themselves 3 times? Mm-hmm. And then I thought about the backlash of, like, is he cheating 3 times? You know, like, is he cheating or is he just dumb 3 times? Or does he not have proper counseling and stuff? And I don't believe that in 2016, as far as we've moved in baseball from the steroid era, that a person, and again, this is just an opinion of mine, but I don't believe that a person would intentionally cheat 3 times in a span of a year. Cheat. Keyword there, cheat. So what I think it's a matter of is he's literally not getting the correct counseling. And while it's his fault for not seeking out the correct counseling, something also needs to be said to the fact that Jennry Mejia is from the Dominican Republic. He doesn't he's a little bit, I guess I would use the term naive to the ways probably of America a little bit more. And it's probably an ignorance that plays into this as well that just doesn't allow him to know, okay, how exactly do I need to go find the right people that tell me what I'm putting into my body? You know, there's a little bit of it's a lost in translation thing a little bit. And that's a terrible excuse for me to put onto the whole situation. And I'm not making excuses for him, but it's just an observation because I have trouble believing that he could just, like, either A, intentionally cheat 3 times, or B, say that, okay, I'm not trying to cheat, but I have to put this into my body 3 different times, whatever the steroid was, stanzazole or something. So I feel bad for him in that regard, and I also think, like, it's interesting now, like, what does he do? I mean, he's not an American kid who went to college and got a degree, or even went to any sort of college, degree or not, and played baseball. He's straight from the Dominican Republic here to play baseball, and that's it. And he's basically never going to play baseball again. I mean, he can apply for reinstatement in, 2 years, but he will have not played baseball in 4 years at that point.
Yeah,
because he missed all of last year, too, and then he missed the year before with an elbow injury. So I kind of think it's interesting in that regard, too. But I mean, kudos to the MLB at the same time, I guess, because this is, I mean, you think about it. Let me ask you, Ryan, how many players do you think would have received lifetime bans if this were a policy in 2003 or 4? I mean, half the league would have been under lifetime bans.
You couldn't be able to count how many.
So the fact now that this policy has been in place for 4 or 5 years and only one person has received a ban, I think is an adage to progress, within the sport. So, I mean, I don't know what else I can say about it, because I don't care as much as a fan. They didn't need Jennry Mejia as much anymore. I mean, I'm speaking. My fan hat is on when I say that, but
as he wears his New York Mets hoodie,
from just a standpoint of isolated player, regardless of name on the front of the jersey. I mean, what else can you say to a guy that does that other than, I wish he'd have gotten better counseling, but that's kind of on him to seek it, or maybe it's on the Mets to provide him better counseling. But I don't think it's really on them. They bent over backwards for Jennry Mejia, and it just never seemed to work. So,
for those of you who don't know, like Brent Bonfleur, Jennry Mejia, I said Jennry, I didn't know. Because again, I've never really seen the guy that much or heard his name said that much.
Suspended all the time.
Exactly, pretty much. Jennry Mejia received a permanent lifetime ban from Major League Baseball for testing positive for a third time for using performance-enhancing drugs. So, which
sounds like the Johnny Manziel of baseball.
Only on a lesser scale, because Manziel is at number 15.
Yeah, I was going to say like 7, but
his 15th time that he's done something stupid. Maybe 20.
Let's go.
How about 30? I think 30 is a good number.
Let's
30 is a great
the
number.
middle there and go with 15.
I think that's 20
high,
is 20 is not enough. But this is the third time for Mejia.
Wow.
Yeah. So once is 50.
Well, what's important to note too is
100.
that it's the third time in a year.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has now tested positive. This is remarkable. He's tested positive for steroids twice now, while already being under suspension for steroids. So
this guy just doesn't get it.
Right. I mean, but I don't again, I don't know if it's a matter of he doesn't get it or he doesn't get how to figure out, because it's one of those things where he's taking a cream, and I buy this. I think even the MLB would buy this. He's got an elbow injury, let's say, and he's taking an ointment and putting it on his elbow. And that ointment, he's not trying to say, "Ooh, I'm gonna bulk up," like the guys in 2003 or whatever. He's trying to heal his elbow injury, and the ointment has steroids in it, and no one's telling him properly, don't take that. But he's also not seeking out, hey, should I not put I can't. Maybe he can't read the English on the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So it's totally
on him.
It is.
You have. To even play in professional sports league, you have to be at least generally aware of how it operates. And, it's not he may not know which of the chemicals in there is the steroid, which is totally understandable. But that's where you get hey, take it to the team doctor. I'm sure that they've talked to their players about this, especially the ones that are coming from different countries. Hey, just take something without checking with us and we'll let you know. I can't imagine that he did that. So, I mean, outside looking in, that seems like it's almost completely his fault.
Now, he is
90-10.
He is saying on this particular one, and he didn't say this on the first two, he is saying that this one's wrong. Now, you almost to defend your own intelligence or semblance of intelligence on the third one, you have to say, "Oh no, this one's wrong. I'm not that stupid."
Right. I'm only stupid.
I think I stopped reading about it on Saturday because I just felt like I was feeding into more stupidity. But I think that the appeals process has already taken place, so I don't think it matters. I don't think Major League Baseball announces their suspensions until the appeals process is over. So I don't think it matters whether or not he thinks the test is wrong or right. I think it's basically set in stone. I mean, he talked about his integrity and he has to prove that it was wrong and this and that. But
Right.
I mean, he's Jennry Mejia. Ryan Braun is the only person that has ever really won one of those "this test is wrong" things. And we're talking about Ryan. I mean, people can't see my hands here, but we're talking about Ryan Braun and Jennry Mejia.
Top level, and then,
Yeah, never even heard of this
50-story
guy.
building. Ryan.
Even I know
Braun
who Ryan Braun is.
Yeah, Ryan Braun's on the 50th floor. Jennry Mejia, he's
in
like
the basement.
he's in the lobby or in the basement or something. Pretty much. Moving right along though, we got to keep on moving here because we're really excited to get to this Super Bowl podcast. So we're gonna move on. That's basically all there is around Jennry Mejia. I think. Where's Doug Lowry's clip here?
I mean, he's a smart kid. I mean, he's not stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, he's stupid, but he's young. He's young stupid. He's not stupid. Alden Smith is stupid.
That was the best quote I have ever heard from Doug Lowry in my entire life. Great stuff. By the way, I've been wanting to play this for so long.
I'm going to go home and get on the Facebook.
Facebook.com/delay of game. I don't know where I found that. That's like,
I don't know either.
That's from almost a year ago, if not longer. So Facebook.com/delay of game, Twitter.com/DOG_podcast, and of course our website.
Oh man, the delay of game podcast.wordpress.com/and/forth DOG.
No, you no. Brent got it right, and then he started going past it. No, the delay of game podcast.wordpress.com. You can find all the delay of game stuff from this year and the old route stuff that we did from last fall. So that's there
sweet
too.
Nostalgia.
Yes, that was some good stuff.
The route.
But I was gonna say, to be remembered, the route. May it live long and prosper.
Yeah,
or something
sure.
like that. Sure. All right.
You spread your fingers and do the sign
the
or whatever that is.
The Vulcan peace sign?
Peace sign, is that what it, I didn't want to say peace sign, but
am I a crazy, creepy old man nerd that I know that?
Well, not for that reason, but yes.
So, yes. Yes. Okay.
You're listening to Delay of Game,
a sports talk podcast. On Facebook.com/delay of game and on Twitter at DOG_podcast.
All right, now before we get to whatever Brent has lined up, I don't know if we're doing the barbecue or if we're doing...
No, we're doing that's what's really going on.
That's good. Before we get to
the program, Ryan.
Hey, you didn't tell me. So before we get to that, though...
Time now for an original.
Hell yeah. Yeah!
The Delay of Game Random Facts.
Fact 1.
Ryan Swanigan.
So this will be the only mention of the Super Bowl that we have in the regular show, aside from that separate podcast that's coming up here. According to the Denver Business Journal, nearly 167 million people had the Super Bowl on at some point. And of those 167 million, like myself, 4 million people streamed it for free on CBSSports.com.
Wow.
And it included the halftime show, and it included the commercials. It was like watching TV, and I was watching TV, but it was through my computer. It was awesome. And I'm not done, but I'm still not done. In Santa Clara proper, over 1 million people, including our very own Matt Rigby, attended the attractions and the final weekend. All those festivities and whatnot that were there. Look at his face. He's like, it's not that big of a deal.
Just wait for that separate
I can't
show we're
wait.
gonna do. I mean, boy, the NFL knows how to market themselves.
Oh, yeah?
Let me tell you that.
Oh, man, I can't wait. That's fun.
Fact 2, Matt Rigby.
I love putting hockey in here, so you guys can tune out if you like. But
what am I trying to say? The motion in moving towards the hockey podcast for the Delay of Game has begun.
We're
officially.
We're progressives on this show.
Oh, yes.
So the Minnesota Wild fired their head coach Mike Yeo last night on the heels of one regulation victory in the last 14 games. That's ridiculous because the Wild have probably, you could argue, one of the top 5 on paper most talented rosters, top to bottom. but they score like something like 1.8 goals per game, which is ridiculous given how much money they have poured. I should have been more prepared for random facts today. I don't have the exact salary cap numbers that they have poured into their forwards, which are in charge of scoring those goals. But really, it's a systematic flaw, and Mike Yeo needed to be fired because they play this type of hockey that only surrenders 16 shots a game, but also only garners 16 shots a game. It's boring for the sport in a time when scoring is totally down in hockey, and it's an injustice to the Minnesota Wild fans given how much money ownership and management have put in to that roster. And I hate the Wild, so let me
They are kind of an obnoxious bunch.
Yeah, let me put that up front. So I'm actually upset to see Mike Yeo go because now they might get actually better for the first time. But again, total injustice to, I mean, the Wild being good is good for hockey. I mean, it really is. That state really deserves a hockey team.
It's a hockey state.
Right. They deserve a hockey team that's better than the one that they've gotten over the last 6-7 years. I mean, the Wild, it's either 2 or 3. It's 2, I think. 2 straight years they've gotten to the postseason and just been trounced by the Blackhawks. They might not even get there this year, and it's just a sad state of affairs in Minnesota. So that random fact, one regulation victory in the past 14 games.
Ow.
Just not getting it done for the Wild.
Ouch.
Fact 3.
Brent Bonfleur.
19 players retired from the NFL in 2015 at age 30 or younger.
Whoa.
Which accounted for almost half of all the players who retired last year. And to give you a little context, in 2011, 4 players age 30 or younger retired. Since then, it has risen to hover about, it's gone up each year except for 2013 to 14, in which it went down by 2 players. But it's been about 15 players a year since then. Again, we're talking age 30 or under. So guys who have not even played 8 years until this last year when it went up to 19. So little telling there.
You gotta be kidding me!
Yeah. And everybody says, "Oh, the NFL, yeah, great, yeah." Well, how much of a future does the NFL really have?
Hey, you know,
let's be honest here.
One of my thoughts, I'm dead serious about this. One of my thoughts when we bought tickets was, how many Super Bowls do we have left? I mean, do we have a Super Bowl in 25 years? I mean, basically exactly what you just wondered, but it wasn't a matter for us buying tickets of do the Broncos go again in the next 20 years? It was a matter of, do any teams play in the Super Bowl in the next 20 years? I mean, this is a real thing. I think we're starting to see the initial jarring of the foundation. You know, like
that
the
started
foundation
in San Francisco last offseason.
Right. But now you're starting to see things shake loose. Things that had been wedged or lodged in place for 70 years, 80 years
Long
of the
time.
sport, we're starting to see the foundation crack just a little bit. And then, I mean, you know how that works on a car windshield when just a little crack turns into the whole windshield by I don't know, a month later.
Right.
We're on a different scale proportionally here, but I think it started. I really do.
If you took the history of sports class, you would learn about the history of football.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow, football barely survived after it first started. Mm-hmm. And now it's...
Because of the injuries that were happening and people getting
dying.
killed.
Yeah. And it wasn't because of concussions. It was because they weren't wearing any gear. And then they gave them the gear, and now it's the concussions. So until you find a way to solve that, it seems like...
Well, I was reading an article about the 72 Dolphins, the only team to ever go undefeated. I was reading that article last week, and they were talking about how many guys, because all the guys on that team are starting to reach the age where death is imminent, I guess.
Yeah.
And
it's closing in.
Right. And so they're some of them, I think like over 10 of the guys on the team have already died, and they've done brain analyses on all of them. And one of the offensive linemen, I forget his name, the offensive lineman this was just announced like last week, I believe, now has taken over the top spot, if you will, on amount of CTE in his brain.
Wow.
and it was like over 60% of his brain was infested. I was using the term infested with CTE at the time of death. So
unbelievable.
As those numbers rise, how long do we turn a blind eye to the issue as those numbers rise? It can't be for very long.
That's incredible. All right, moving on now to Mr. Bonfleur.
This is what's really going on with Brent Bonfleur.
So what if I told you that Peyton Manning's squeaky clean image was built on lies?
Yeah.
At least those are the words that Sean King, a writer for the New York Daily News, used in his big article detailing and insane detail and depth. The article is way too long. I couldn't read it all. It just went on and on and on about Peyton Manning, quote, forcefully maneuvering his naked testicles and rectum directly, end quote, onto the face of Dr. Jamie Notwright, a University of Tennessee director of health and wellness and athletic trainer, back in the mid-'90s when Peyton was a freshman quarterback phenom at Tennessee.
That's not true!
I don't know if it's true or not.
You gotta be kidding me!
But there are like 170 plus pages of sworn depositions in a court case that say that it is indeed true that Peyton Manning sexually assaulted this athletic trainer. Not right.
Good Lord.
So
I did see a couple of these articles floating around, I think yesterday.
Yep. I saw it for the first time yesterday. I think it broke yesterday, which is obviously a little strange, as this was reported to have happened in 1996. That we're just seeing
20
now.
years ago.
Now, apparently in 2003, a couple articles came out about this, but it just sort of got swept under the rug, and no one really made a big deal out of it. And apparently, according to this article by this King guy, this has just basically been what it was the whole time, that Archie Manning and the Manning family and Peyton used their position and their status and their power to basically just get this woman fired and make her sign a non-disclosure agreement and basically sweep this thing under the rug. So when I read it, obviously I was pretty skeptical because, as he mentions in his title, Peyton Manning's image is probably has the best image of any professional athlete. I don't know. Can you think of
I'd say Eli Manning.
Yeah,
but Eli
Peyton,
Manning's not up there as far as Peyton goes.
Yeah, there are plenty of guys who have almost no image.
Maybe Jeter when he was playing.
Yeah,
maybe Jeter.
Yeah,
Derek Jeter.
But even with the girls and stuff, it takes a ding on it. Peyton Manning was almost completely spotless.
Yeah,
there's the HGH thing which he completely denied. And I got to say, I believe him. I don't think he did it.
Yeah, if you're talking of high sports personalities or profiles in general,
he's in very rare territory.
Yeah, there's stuff with Michael Jordan. There's people knock on LeBron, but I don't know if there's anything really with LeBron.
I mean, Peyton Manning is
Mike Krzyzewski of Duke.
Yeah, right. Yeah, when it's a lot of the people you think of as coaches, Peyton's former coach, Tony Dungy type guys. Tim Tebow might be the only guy with a cleaner image.
But it's not
as
high as Peyton Manning. Which,
right.
It's
exactly.
Man,
so
we've
established this is kind of whoa, where is this coming from? And I don't know if it's true. I mean, there's certainly a lot of evidence that points to it being true. Now, to be clear, he did not rape this woman, but he did take his genitals and place them on her face while she was, I guess, taping up his foot or something, which I'm not entirely sure why he was naked for that. Or I guess he wasn't naked. He was wearing shorts, and he claims to have pulled them down because he was mooning one of his teammates on the Tennessee team as fullback or something.
That's good.
Fullback has come out and said, no, that's absolutely not true. He did not do that to me. So I don't know, but it's because what's happening here is you're taking, as we've established, probably one of the cleanest images in sports, one of the biggest, if probably right now after his big Super Bowl win, biggest profile players in sports in the world, and now you're throwing this really horrible allegation against him.
The standard,
right?
In football.
And let's be clear, again, he did not rape her, but this is still a sexual assault.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is it the worst thing that could possibly happen? No. But if some guy did this to your mom or your sister, right?
You'd be out.
You're not going to just let it slide. So we're not trivializing it, but at the same time, he's not a rapist. So I don't know. What do you guys think? You buy in? I mean, because it's
again. If we thought the Jameis Winston thing was bad, where it was only a year ago, this is 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, this is, you can't just, go find evidence like that.
Right, and a week after the pinnacle of his career, probably, literally, and probably the end of his career. I mean, the timing, why is it just coming out now?
But this is, as far as the timing goes, this is almost starting to become a thing now.
Oh, exactly.
Jameis Winston with the national championship. Now that
which makes it fishy.
The jury is still out on the Jameis Winston thing. But, for example, I remember we talked about this last year, and this still sticks in my mind. The Rashid Suleiman thing with Duke.
Yeah.
The Peyton Manning thing, happening. There's been others. I'm trying to think. There was a baseball one, too, wasn't there, Matt? I thought there was a baseball one fairly recently. I can't remember specifically what it was.
Yeah.
But this is starting to become a thing. Cam Newton, after he won the national championship, the things that were coming out about, his father was, paying this money, or they paying, something dealing with money, and Cam Newton and all that crap. And, it's...
I think that, I was talking about this with somebody yesterday. I think there are people, Sean King's one of them, who exist to write these articles at the times that they write them. That's his purpose at the Daily News. That's what he does. I mean, that's the Daily News purpose as a newspaper in a way. But it's not saying it's right or wrong. It just is how it is.
Right.
It's questionable.
Right, and to hit on your coincidence aspect of it, I don't think it's a coincidence. That being said, I said after the HGH thing with Peyton that one of the funny things to me in relation to Peyton Manning in particular with all this is that people literally were saying he would not do that. I mean, those were their quotes. And you don't know Peyton Manning.
Exactly.
You can't unequivocally say that he would or would not do that because you don't know him. Now, you can look at his image and you can judge him based off of that and say, I don't think he would do that. But to immediately dismiss something of that nature is probably logically lazy. Because you don't know him. I mean, we don't know him well enough to know whether he would or would not do this, or with the Tennessee allegations, or whether he would or would not take HGH or any of that. And certainly you could craft arguments on both sides that make it plausible that he either did or did not do both of these things. So I think at that point you have to take it in a bottle and say, why has something that happened 20 years ago just been released, like we've been talking about? And how much does it matter? How much does it matter for us? The guy's going to retire, and he's going to retire as probably one of the 2 or 3 best quarterbacks of all time. And that's all that really we should care about, because he's just a football player. We don't know or don't know what he did. We just don't. So, I don't know. Here's the funny thing. I was listening to Dan Le Batard the week of the Super Bowl. He brought this up the week of the Super Bowl. He was like, hey, him and Stugatz were talking in the studio.
No way.
And Le Batard said, hey, it's funny we talk about it because, the whole week or the whole 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl had been cast as Cam Newton as a culture item or as a cultural figure versus Peyton Manning as a cultural figure. And Lebitard says, hey, it's funny, we always talk about the Cam Newton laptops thing, but no one ever talks about the Peyton Manning sexual assault thing at Tennessee. And I remember saying to myself, I'll have to look into that. Yeah. And I never did, but Lebitard brought this up. Meaning this is known, like this was known, and people just
there were articles written in 2003.
They don't say anything about it. So I mean, call a spade, I guess, and just let him be a football player, just like we should just let Cam Newton be a football player. I mean, stolen laptop versus sexual assault versus yada yada yada. We don't know. I mean, I don't think sports exists as a vehicle for making sanctimonious judgments.
And it's very difficult to go back to something that's 20 years ago. Like, you know how much digging you have to do to, like, get witness testimony, interview this person, go find Tennessee public records from 20 years ago? Like, if you're going to, like, investigate it, you better be prepared to, like, really have a whole bunch of shovels and maybe a bulldozer, because you're going to be doing a lot of digging to try and find something like this to take place.
Find me a human that if you dig 20 years in the past, any human being, that you wouldn't find something worthy. I'm not trying to compare sexual assault to anything else.
Right.
I'm not trying to make this a comparative thing, but that you wouldn't find something worthy of publishing in a newspaper that would make people go, like any human being would have something like that.
We're all not perfect.
Right. And
it's as simple as that.
And I don't say this as somebody, I read something yesterday that I thought was very, very accurate, I guess, for lack of a better term. That people, when they, I mean, obviously, I think public opinion of Peyton Manning is high. Mm-hmm. And when people hold an athlete in high regard, they tend to maybe jump the gun or more immediately find a defense for something that athlete would have done wrong than if like if this happens with Cam Newton or something. I heard something like, if Cam Newton after the game says, I'm going to go drink Budweiser, we view it differently than if Peyton Manning says it. And I buy that. But personally, I try to be transparent with this stuff. Like, if this came out on Cam Newton, I mean, like, if something, I don't even know if Cam's old enough to have something from 20 years ago come out. But if something came out on Cam 6-7 days after the Super Bowl, I wouldn't jump and say, well, that makes sense because Cam's image is different than Peyton. I would say we don't know. Like, they're football players. They exist in a glass vacuum of football. That's all they should really exist in. We allow them to exist separately from that, with money poured into the game. But really, we can't judge their character because we don't know them. And sports, I'll repeat this line, I don't think sports should be this huge vehicle for sanctimony.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. All right, we've reached the end of the show here. We got predictions. Matt Rigby, you have a predictions update while he corrals that. Facebook.com/delayofgame, at DOG_podcast, or Twitter.com/DOG_podcast. And of course, our website. We're also on YouTube as well. Check that out. Good luck finding us if you can on YouTube. Or you could just go to our website, the delayofgamepodcast.wordpress.com. Matt Rigby.
Well, it feels good to be back on top. I said that.
Words I've never said.
We have.
Oh, baby!
Yeah, I'm just a born winner. I don't know what else to say about it.
And he's from Nevada, too,
We had 11 games. We actually had one game from what would be 3 weeks ago now.
Good.
Wow.
That hadn't completed. Good thing I remembered, because I won it and you two lost it.
Ah, that's okay.
So we ended up having, with the 10 games last week and the one from 3 weeks ago, we had 11 games that were completed that we picked. I went 7-4. Ryan went 4-7, and Brent went 3-8.
What?
Yeah.
That was a rough week.
Brent now is below 500.
I bet.
So he's in danger of his own team firing him.
That is suspect.
Ryan's 20. So Brent is 20 and 21.
On the hot seat.
Yeah, on the hot seat. Brent's 20 and 21. He's a good week. He's 20 and 21. Ryan's 25 and 16, and I am 26 and 15.
Okay.
So me and Ryan are within a game, but
only 6 games out of first place.
These things are these things are volatile.
The
Until
usual battle I have to deal
miracles
with.
happen all
Until
the
you
time.
become 20, 30 games out, Brent, I think you're fine. You know?
Oh,
that
man.
is great.
Tell you what,
Not very much fun, is it?
Michael S. Miles. I know how he feels. You do great most of the time, and then hey, one bad week, and
Oh, boy.
you're on the chopping block.
That's great. Well, we got to get this show wrapped up so we can get to the big podcast, one of the two big
All right.
separate podcasts from the regular show.
Let's
So we'll
do
do the college basketball games, and there are many college basketball games. So we're going to do rapid fire, and then we'll do the 3 NBA, and then we will send you on your way to the next podcast. I guess. All right. Big week this week, college basketball. West Virginia and Texas. It's going to be good. Brent Bonfleur, you're up.
West Virginia.
Okay. Matt Rigby?
West Virginia.
Fair enough. Man, I really want to go with West Virginia. I'm going to do Texas, though. No, I can't predict Texas. What am I saying? I'm going against an old rule. West Virginia across the board. Iowa State and Baylor.
Iowa State.
Matt Rigby.
Oh, boy. I'll take the Cyclones as well.
Okay. And I'm going to go with Iowa State as well. All Iowa State across the board there. Here was another good one. Providence and Xavier. Top 5 team Xavier right now. Brent Bonfleur.
Xavier.
Matt.
I'll take the X-Men, too, at home.
Nice.
I can't take 3 straight road
Oh, of course.
opponents.
Who would?
Yeah.
I've got Xavier as well. I love Xavier right now. Syracuse and Louisville.
Syracuse.
Oh, all right.
Let's see if what we
Just
talked about.
playing for whatever's left in the season.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see if they have any fire.
I'll take Louisville. I'll
Take
take Louisville.
Louisville?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Louisville as well.
I don't think Syracuse is that good. I think it's the
They're
problem.
not.
They're not that good, but
I'm going off the field, off the court stuff here.
All right, fair enough. Here's the best one of them all: Duke, North Carolina, the rivalry. The rivalry.
The rivalry. The Red Wivel rivalry. North Carolina for me.
North Carolina? All right. Matt Rigby.
Games in Chapel Hill?
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay, I'll take UNC.
All right. You're not a person that, sides with Duke or North Carolina, are you? I wouldn't think you would be. You don't seem like a guy that just, you just go with whoever is good at the time.
Yeah, college basketball isn't really my thing.
Yeah,
so
that's okay.
I've always, but to be honest, I've always kind of sided with Duke.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Duke because I'm a Duke person, kinda. I use air quotes. I'm a Duke person. That's it's just like, what's going on? Okay, probably Duke. Even though North Carolina will probably win. SMU and UConn. This is a surprisingly really good game. Brent Bonfleur.
I'll go UConn.
Okay, Matt Rigby.
I'll take SMU.
Okay. I think I'm going to go SMU as well. I feel like they could go and pull that off up there in Connecticut. And then some big games on Saturday, and it starts with Duke-Louisville. Brent Bonfleur.
Oh, I picked against Louisville already?
Yes.
I'll pick against them again. I'll go Duke.
I'll go Duke.
Duke, and I think I'm going to go with Louisville. Of course, I'm assuming that Duke will lose to North Carolina, so I don't know. Miami and North Carolina.
Ooh, that's a good game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go UNC.
Okay.
Again.
I'll take Miami.
Ooh, nice pick. I'm going to go North Carolina. I think that'll be a really good game. I hope it's a really good game. Baylor and Texas.
Baylor.
Matt?
Texas at home.
I am going to do the same. Texas is really good at home this year. A lot of momentum there. Oklahoma, West Virginia. This is going to be another good game.
Oklahoma.
Matt?
West Virginia at home.
I agree. I'm going West Virginia as well. I think dangerous team at home for sure. Kind of underrated a little bit at home as well. All right, Kentucky and Texas A&M. This is a very good matchup.
Texas A&M's lost their last 4?
No, I think they've only they're like 2-2 in their last 4. I don't think they've really dropped off that much, but
I think they've lost their last 4. So
I don't think so. I'll
go Texas A&M.
Going A&M. Matt Rigby.
Kentucky.
Kentucky it is. Man, I got to go with Texas A&M. I really think they could do it. And finally, college basketball. Big Ten. We can't leave out the Big Ten. Purdue and Indiana.
Ooh.
This is a very good game. Very good game.
I'll go Indiana here.
Matt Rigby.
I like Purdue.
And I'm going with Tom Crean and the Indiana Hoosiers. Everybody around Lincoln hates Tom Crean. I don't know why. I think Tom Crean's a cool guy. Brought Indiana basketball back. 3 NBA games. Spurs and Clippers.
Spurs.
Matt?
Spurs.
I'm going to go with Spurs, too. So good. Very good team this year. But not as good as the Golden State Warriors, who played the Clippers as well in L.A., and I'm going with the Warriors because they're going to blow them out. Yeah. It's my team.
Warriors.
Yep.
I mean, why would anyone pick against the Warriors?
Oh, no kidding.
The Clippers are that team, they're good against everyone except the actually good teams.
I mean, the Warriors are probably going to lose 1, 2, maybe 3 games the rest of the year, but
against the Clippers,
how are we going to be able to tell which of those games?
Yeah. Oh, no. I don't think it's going to be against
who's
big teams.
Beating them? The Bucks, the Pistons? I mean, you don't know who's going to beat them.
Yeah,
right.
So.
You have no idea.
76ers, did they play them?
No.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
and
they did, but
they
didn't
barely beat them.
Yeah, right.
So it's like those low-end crappy teams. They just they figured it out, but nobody else can. Cavs and your boy, Billy Donovan.
Oh, man. OKC.
In OKC, by the way.
OKC, for sure.
All right.
Make
Matt
it
Rigby.
rain.
Yeah, I think OKC's got too much. I just don't like the Cavs when they stack up against the West because I think that LeBron tries to take it all upon himself, and there's just those 2 or 3 teams in the West. I mean, Golden State, San Antonio, Oklahoma City, they all have too many options.
Kind of the next level of basketball with those top 3.
It makes it 3-on-1.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
we saw that in the finals. It just doesn't work.
The NBA, and then above them is the Spurs, Thunder, and Warriors. Yeah. And I'm going with the Thunder as well. All right. Also, the predictions. As I said, 2 other podcasts on our website and in store for today, and not going to want to miss out because they're going to be great. Doug Lowry's going to be joining me, and we're also going to have the Super Bowl podcast as well. That's going to do it for the regular show. We'll see you next week, and who knows what we'll be talking about then. This is one of those weeks where I just don't know what's going to be happening the next upcoming week. It's kind of that lull in February, you're waiting for March to get here, but it takes forever, I don't know. By the way, quick props to Husker softball. They are kicking the crap out of everybody and anyone up there in northern Iowa to start off the season. Love me some Husker softball. Hope those ladies do well rest of the season. We'll be keeping an eye on them. Should be some good stuff in store. Good stuff in store for today's show. We'll see you next week.